Long ago, there was a brave king named Vikramaditya. He was famous because he never broke his promise. One night, Vikram went again to the dark cremation ground. He had promised a sorcerer that he would bring back the ghost named Betal. Vikram found Betal hanging from a tree. He pulled him down and placed him on his shoulder. As Vikram walked through the silent forest, Betal smiled. He said, "O king, this time I will tell you a puzzle that is not easy. Long ago, there was a king named Dharmapal. He ruled a peaceful kingdom with his queen and his beautiful daughter. One day, enemies attacked the kingdom. The palace was in danger. The king, the queen, and the princess ran into the forest to save their lives. They walked for many hours. They were tired, hungry, and afraid. Sadly, the king was injured while protecting his family. Before he died, he told the queen, "Protect our daughter." The queen cried, but she promised to keep the princess safe. The queen and princess continued walking through the forest. After some time, they reached a quiet lake. They rested there and hoped someone kind would help them. At the same time, another king was hunting nearby with his young son. The king saw two sets of footprints near the lake. One set of footprints was large, the other was small. The king said to his son, "Two women must be nearby." The son said, "Father, let us help them." The king smiled and said, "Yes, but let us make a promise. If we find them, I will marry the woman with the larger footprints, and you will marry the woman with the smaller footprints." The son agreed. Soon they found the queen and the princess near the lake, but there was a problem. The queen had small feet. The princess had large feet. The king and his son were confused. They had already made a promise. So the king married the princess because her footprints were larger, and the son married the queen because her footprints were smaller. Everyone accepted the promise, and they returned to the palace. After some time, both couples had children. The king and the princess had one child. The son and the queen also had one child. But now the family relation became very confusing. Betal paused and smiled from Vikram's shoulder. Then he asked, "Tell me, wise king, what was the relationship between the two children? Was one child the uncle? Was one child the nephew? Were they brothers, or were they something else?" Vikram walked silently for a while. The puzzle was very tricky. Then Vikram answered. The king married the princess, so their child was born from the princess. The king's son married the queen, so their child was born from the queen. The queen was the princess's mother, so the queen's child became the princess's brother. But the princess's child was born from the king, who was the father of the young prince. So the princess's child was also connected to the young prince's family. This made both children related in a very confusing way. Each child could be called both uncle and nephew to the other. Betal laughed loudly. He said, "You are right, O king. This was truly a difficult puzzle. Only a wise mind could understand it." Then Betal smiled and said, "But since you have spoken, I must fly away." At once, Betal slipped from Vikram's shoulder and flew back through the dark forest. King Vikramaditya turned and followed him once again. The moral of the story is this: a promise should be made carefully. Sometimes people make promises too quickly without thinking about the result. A wise person thinks before speaking, because once a promise is made, it can create problems later. This story also teaches us to use our mind and think clearly. Please subscribe to our channel for more interesting stories like this one. We will see you in the next story.